Hey friends, my name is Steve Guttenberg, and I am the Audiophiliac. And today I'm going to talk about I have a question. Why do some people have this anger, this hatred of record companies? They just do. I mean, they make a big deal. I think the source of their anger is they see that record companies have ripped off artists, screwed over artists in various ways, and yes, that's happened over the course of the music business since it became a business making records. Yeah, happens. It happens a lot. But I don't hear that same level of vitriol aimed at streaming companies like Tidal and Spotify and Pandora and Rhapsody and blah, 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 blah. They rip off artists even more than record companies, a lot more than record companies ever have. It's almost a joke how little they pay artists. Oh, and by the way, you know who else they don't pay? The composers of the songs, because not the artist, the performer, isn't necessarily the writer of the song. And under the other systems with radio play and blah, 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 streaming companies pay almost nothing to composers. Talk about ripping people off. They're just awful, the streaming companies, in their treatment of artists and composers. So it's a sad state of affairs. Because now the people that are making all of this possible, the ripping off of artists, are the people who use streaming companies. I mean, that they basically say, I don't need to buy physical media anymore. I don't need to buy CDs or LPs or even pay for a download, because I can get the music for free by watching it on YouTube or getting the free subscriptions. Now, maybe it's time to look in the mirror and say, maybe I'm part of the problem. Maybe you look in the mirror and say, maybe it's me that's ripping off the artist now, because though they worked hard to make a record and it wasn't free for them, they had to go to a studio and pay studio time and pay for an engineer and possibly a producer and the cost of making records, which they almost will never get back. So now they're in the negative category for making a record, because the people who like them, this is the part that gets me, the people who like this band don't support them by buying their music. They support them by going to concerts and buying t-shirts and all that stuff, and that's good. I'm sure it's way better than not doing any of those things. But in the end, that leaves the band in the hole for making records, and therefore they make fewer and fewer records. And that's a sad state of affair for the artist and for their legacy, because when the band breaks up or something, there's less left, and therefore the fans of that band have less music after they break up, right? Anyway, I'm just frustrated about this anger. I've picked up on this for years and years, this anger directed towards record companies. It's completely out of line with reality. Record companies do develop artists, not like they did in the old days where they made a lot more money before they had to compete for free on the internet. But still, they do develop artists. They can sometimes hook them up with the right producer and make the artists grow and improve them and nurture them to make them better than they were before they hooked up with that record company. They don't have the resources they used to have, so that happens less, and that's a drag. But in the end, I'm just trying to put this in proportion, this anger of record companies. Hey, I think you should direct some of that anger to the streaming companies for screwing over artists far worse, and composers, than record companies ever did. Anyway, my name's Steve Guttenberg, and I am the Audiophiliac. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show. Comes up more or less daily. Not going to do them 7 days a week anymore. 6, maybe 5, but usually it's 6. Anyway, the Near Daily Show, coming to you from Steve Guttenberg, the Audiophiliac. See ya.